the visual literacy. So today we are going to continue with the visual literacy. However, we need to start off by looking at certain aspects of your English paper one. Those who have just joined us, please do indicate if you're able to hear and if you're able to see what's on the screen. Please give us a thumbs up there. Thank you. That's one person who has come through. I think it's you, Nomfundo Per. All right. Now, so today I want us to look at using language correctly. This is question 5 of your section C in your paper 1 question. Now, when we take the bare minimum approach as embraced by the Department of Education in 2023, is that at least out of 10 marks in this section, a learner must at least get 2 marks. I mean, that's a bare minimum. You realize that many learners don't get more than 2 marks for this particular question. However, there's this sense that we have come to a point where we just say, you know what, let's just allow them to get the bare minimum so that they pass. So they get 12 for section A, they get 6 for section B, they get 5 for question 3, they get 4 for question 4, and then they get 2 for question number 5. So if they do get that amount of mark in each question rather, it secures that they do pass. And I know it's not an ideal approach. However, it is one of those things that we want even the most struggling learner to at least achieve a particular mark in order to pass. Before I begin with today's session, I'd like to acknowledge the Department of Basic Education as we are using a material this afternoon from previous papers. So it is a practice that we embrace in the workspace to acknowledge the work that does not belong to us. So what is on the screen is of a national level set for a particular group of learners by a particular examiner. And I'm not going to disclose now. I'm going to disclose at the end because I am trying to avoid you accessing the memo in our question and answer. That's why I even blurred the year. When you can look at your question paper, you can see that black color there. I had to close off the year in which this paper was written so that I save you from you. I know you learners are able to access some things while we are busy. Now, let's get into business. Using language correctly. Again, when you write this question in an exam, you need to begin by stating that this is question number 5, and then you have to write using language correctly, and then you have to write text F. Now, these are things which are very critical and very pertinent for you to ensure that you do. Now, let's look at text F and try and see what it is that text F is trying to get us to do. Now, when you look at text F, you realize that, sorry guys, all right, I need to do something here. Okay. We have a text written about the history behind exams. Now, please be aware that this text contains some deliberate errors. So this is your keyword in ensuring that you do answer this question correctly. As you go about this particular aspect of the question paper, you've got to be able to spot language errors, which are maybe conventional, and they might be grammatical. So you've got to be able to correctly see where the error is, and then you should be able to look at your question, and then you deal with whatever it is you should do. So as you read, and as an English language learner, you should, by this point in time in grade 10, in grade 11, and in grade 12, be able to spot mistakes which are deliberately made. Now, have you ever wondered how our current system of exams started? Everything has a beginning, and exams have a long history that we forgot about. There is a question that every student has thought of in their student life, and then we have a colon. Now, the reason for this colon, it is now to give us the question which the students had in their student life. And the question is, who invented the system called examination? The guy who invented exams is a French philosopher named Henry Fisher. According to Henry, the purpose of examinations is to better understand the abilities of students, to make students learn a lot of work in a short space of time, and to determine an average of students' abilities. So the argument here is on how exams began. So the main purpose was to determine an average of students' abilities by making them learn a lot of work in a short space of time. According to 90% of teachers around the world, the questions set for an exam are always from what they teach. However, it is never possible for them to ask questions about everything students have studied. Students can easily fail simply by being too anxious about examinations. So, the next time you find your friends doing last minute, look at last minute, how last minute is written. It's two words joined by a hyphen. So this gives us a particular type of a word. Last minute revision, remind them to take a deep breath and let it go. Stress and anxiety cannot produce good results. We should remain calm and stay positive during the preparation and the writing of an examination. Now, I need you to participate, guys. Unfortunately, if you don't participate, this is going to be very, very, very dragging. It's going to drag, and we are not going to get what it is that we need to get out of this particular lesson. So learners, I really require that you take time to participate and not make this lesson all about me. We need to make mistakes when we answer questions so we could make the necessary corrections. Again, if I ask you individually or I call your name and I ask you to give us an answer, please feel free to say, I don't have the answer, rather than keeping me waiting, knowing very well that you have no clue what the answer is. Now, 5.1, the instruction says, and I needed to pay careful attention to instructional verb that are used, the instructional verbs used by the examiners. Now, the first instruction is that you should correct the error in paragraph 1. Now, you are not going to be able to correct anything if you cannot spot the error. The question here is that, do you see or can you recognize the error? And once the error is recognized, the first thing that you need to do in answering this question is to write the error. And then you, alongside the error, write the correct version of that particular word you have corrected, that you have picked up rather as an error. Now let's correct the error or the tense error in paragraph 1. Now let's look at paragraph 1. Okay, Ngobile, I do see you. Let me read paragraph 1 again, and then I'll give you the opportunity to respond. Have you ever wondered how our current system of exams started? Everything has a beginning, and exams have a long history that we forgot about. All right, Ngobile, what is your answer?
Okay, so everything has a beginning, and exams have a long history that we have forgotten about.
That
we have forgotten.
That we have forgotten. That's a good answer. So the tense here is have forgotten, instead of saying a long history that we forgot about. That's not how we correctly speak. So it should be that we have forgotten about. So what we have corrected here is have forgotten about. Now 5.2, correct the pronoun error in the second paragraph. Now let's read the second paragraph before we could give a correction, or make a correction rather. There is a question that every student has thought of in their student life. Who invented the system called examination? The guy who invented exams is a French philosopher named Henry Fisher. According to Henry, the purpose of examination is to better understand the abilities of students, to make students learn a lot of work in a short space of time, and to determine an average of students' abilities. Now, the error of pronoun here, where is our error? Ngobile?
So there is a question that every student has thought of in his or her student life.
In his
or her
student life. Thank you so much, Ngobile. Can we have other people, guys? We don't have Ngobile alone in the group, so please do come through. 5.3, what is the purpose of the colon in the end of line 3? So line 1, 2, 3. Line 3 begins in or on the second paragraph. So what is the purpose of the colon? I think I did mention what the purpose of the colon in this context is. Amanda, Elsha, please come through. The purpose of a colon. Again, I think I've really spoken about you guys being able to speak when you can't give an answer. Because so it indicates that the question referred to in the sentence is now going to follow. That's a very great response. Thank you, Kosam, for that. So that is the function of a colon in this particular line. Now, who invented the system called examination in line 4? Rewrite this sentence in reported speech, and then you are told how to start your sentence or how to begin the sentence. Start with, he wanted to know. Anyone, guys? Okay, Kosam? All right, he wanted to know who had invented that system called examination. Thank you so much for that. Very good. Okay, Ngobile?
Say if he said he wanted to know the person who had invented a system called examination.
As long as your tense had invented and that is in your sentence, I think it's still correct. Right? All right. Now correct the colloquialism in paragraph 2. Now then it gets a bit heavy because some people don't know what colloquialism means. Now, in paragraph 2, there is a question that every student has thought of in their student life. Who invented the system called examination? The guy who invented exams is a French philosopher named blah, blah, blah. Where is the colloquialism here? Remember, colloquial language is language as we use every day, and it is informal in nature. So your question won't be saying, correct the informal language. They will use the word colloquialism. Where is the colloquialism in this? The word that makes this paragraph a bit informal. No answer? Elsha, you haven't said a word. Kosam? The man. So the colloquialism here is the guy, right? So you are supposed to correct. So you first show the colloquialism. In this case, is the guy. So to make it formal, we could have said the man or the person. Okay. Oh, I see your hand is down. So okay, it means you are sorted because I'm right. All right, thank you. Now in 5.6, here is a problem for many of you. Correct the split infinitive in paragraph 2, and you are to rewrite the phrase. Now, paragraph 2 again, there is a question that every student has thought of in their student life. Who invented this system called examination? The guy who invented exams is a French philosopher named Henry Fisher. According to Henry, the purpose of examinations is to better understand the abilities of students, to make students learn a lot of work in a short space of time, and to determine an average of students' life. The split infinitive, come on guys. The purpose of examination is to better understand the abilities of students, to make students learn a lot of work in a short space of time, and to determine an average of students' ability. Guys, is split infinitive anisazi? Alright, I see you are wasting time. Now, to correct the split infinitive, we need to move the word better. There shouldn't be any word between the word to and the verb. So when you split the infinitive, you put something in between the word to as well as the word understanding. So it should read, according to Henry, the purpose of examinations is to understand the abilities of students, to make students learn a lot of work in a short space of time, and to determine an average of students' abilities. Now, that was the split infinitive. Now let's move on. Sorry. Correct the punctuation error in paragraph 2. Now let's go back to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 is loaded with a lot of errors. There is a question that every student has brought out thought of in their student life. Who invented this system called examination? The guy who invented exams is a French philosopher named Henry Fisher. According to Henry, the purpose of examinations is to understand the abilities of students, to make students learn a lot of work in a short space of time, and to determine an average of students' abilities. Where is the punctuation error here? Punctuation error? Kosam? Yeah. What about the students? Don't just say the punctuation, but rather what is this? The apostrophe. It should be at the end of the S, or it should be after the S. So when you write your students in this context, because we are looking at a plural possessive, in this case, it's our students' abilities, the abilities of students in plural. So the apostrophe should be placed after an S. All right, very well. Now 5.8, correct the spelling error in paragraph 4. Let's go to the fourth paragraph. Students can easily fail simply because being too anxious about examination. So the next time you find your friends doing last minute revision, remind them to take a deep breath and let it go. Stress and anxiety cannot produce good results. We should remain calm and stay positive during the preparation and writing of an exam. Where is the spelling error? Sorry. Spelling error here. And I've been reading it correctly, although it's written incorrectly. Okay, I see you don't see it. It's breathe. They have the word breathe there instead of breath. So breath is supposed to be spelled as Breath, but they use the Breathe for breathe. So that's the error there. Then finally, correct the article error in paragraph 4. So you should be able to know the errors here. Ngobile?
I think the error says an. Instead, they must write a exam.
Okay, well, I did not get you correctly. Okay, let's start by reading and then you'll come back. We are on paragraph 4.
Yes.
Now, students can easily fail simply by being too anxious about examination. So the next time you find your friends doing last minute revision, remind them to take a deep breath and let it go. Stress and anxiety cannot produce good results. We should remain calm and stay positive during the preparation and the writing of an examination. So what was your response there?
We should remain calm and stay positive during the preparation and writing of a examination.
No. There is no error. The examiner has made an error here. It's an examination. Remember, um, our examination begins with an E. So it's a vowel. So the article needs to be an N instead of A. So we can only say a book, but we can't say an book or a exam. So it is an exam. It should be an exam. Now, let us move to the second aspect of this session. Now, again, I believe this was one of the most interesting papers and question. Again, when we deal with visual literacy, it is very much important to ensure that you study all the elements that you can see. Mobile, I still see your hand. Is it an old hand or a new one? All right, thank you. Now study the advertisement, which is texty, below and answer the set questions. Now let's look at the first text, which is now Greenpeace help us fight plastic waste at greenpeace.nl/plastic is back. And then there's that plastic is back with an exclamation mark. Already we get a sense that the plastic is an enemy and it is back. There's an emotion that is attached to it making a return. When we look at this container, the Johnson's shining polish container, we can tell that it is a container of a black shining polish. But if you can zoom in, you should be able to see that this container is old. So it means that it has been underwater for many years. And now it is back. It used to it made shoes shine in the 70s, but it makes pictures dirty today. This plastic packaging was recently found on a beach after 50 years floating in the ocean. So the fact that it was found after 50 years can be seen on the container itself looking very worn out. The painting on this container tells a story about how long this container has been in existence. So the plastic packages, so we are being asked to help fight the plastic waste at Greenpeace. NL Plastic is back. Now, the first question is, why does the advertiser make the claim it made shoes shine in the 70s? It makes bitches dirty today. Let me give you a minute or two to look at this advertisement again and then be able to provide an answer for me there. All right, I think we are ready to proceed. Why does the advertiser make the claim it made shoes shine in the 70s, but it makes the bitches dirty today? I mean, if you can look at the contents of the product, the shoe polish made shoes shine in the 1970s, but when you look at it now, the container is not making anything shine. I mean, this is a very basic question. This is entry level 1 question where you should be able to say something. Now, Nizongwatisa for being quiet because I am here to assist you, but you're not willing to participate. This is a very clear question that you can access. The fact that it used to make shoes shine, it used to be for a good cause in the 70s. But today, the very thing that used to be for a good cause is now littering and now making our bitches look dirty. It is now a litter instead of something that we looked at as something that is very much important, being a shoe shiner. Now, comment on one advertising technique used in the presentation of "it's back." Now, when we look at the expression "it's back," it's in a bold font. And when we discussed advertisement, we looked at these techniques and what they are responsible for. So the font is bold, and it is also, there is a reverse print, and the white printing on a black background, which draws the reader's attention, and it makes the readers to have interest in the return of an old product. You can tell by looking at this product that it is old by how it looks. So "it is back" is written in a bold font, and there is an exclamation mark there, but at the same time, there is a white print, although it's bold, but it's white print for purposes of attention grabbing. Remember our ADA principle there. Then we have a medallion or rosette shape. Now, this is a presentation of the product which makes it appear as though it is popular, and its reappearance is to be celebrated. We also have an apostrophe here. The contraction lapago "it's" makes the expression informal and more appealing to a wider audience, because a wider audience speak like that. They are not going to say "it is back." So it makes this product very accessible in the sense that it uses a more accessible type of language. And the exclamation mark gives us a dramatic statement. It conveys excitement, the alarm, cynicism, as well as the fear at the reappearance of the shoe polish. Although old people who were using this around the 70s will be excited to see this because it'll bring a lot of memories, but the memories would be very good of what it used to do in the past. But now it is no longer a good thing that it reappears. So it is going to bring a lot of cynicism, a lot of fear, as well as the excitement for those people who used to use it years prior. Now, identify the part of speech of the underlined word. Now, please be aware that the examination guidelines for grade 10, 11, and 12 changed in 2021. We used to have sole questions on advertisement and advertisement techniques or advertising techniques. But with the new exam guidelines, we ought to have at least two language structures and convention-based questions. So in your paper, you should expect in this section and questions which are similar to those you would find in question number 5. So you are to identify the part of speech of the underlined word. The plastic packaging. So packaging is underlined for us. Again, if you were taught language, I believe you are still taught language, you can tell that the word packaging is a noun. But at the same time, you can also say that it is a gerund. Now, a gerund, because gerunds are nouns ending with ing, or sometimes they are verb, which are now converted to a noun and ending with an ing. So our 3.4 packaging is either a noun or a gerund, or you can even say it is a verbal noun. Then finally, what is the function of the apostrophe in its back? So the function of the apostrophe here indicates contraction, because its back, written in full, the word it's written in full should be it is. So once we remove the I, we are omitting it. And then we present it is as a contraction. So the function here of an apostrophe is a contraction or omission. Finally, let's look at the last segment, and then we will call it a day. Now we've got Foxtrot, Bill Amend as our cartoonist here. Now when you look at your cartoon, we can tell that we are in a classroom. That's the context. How do we know that? We can tell that our character is sitting on a desk that is typically found in the classroom. So the girl in frame 1 has a very blank expression. So at this moment, we can't tell how she feels. But we can tell that she's about to write something. It could be perhaps an exam. We'll find out as we go along. So we see a hand of a character that's not within the frame, but we can read what this character outside of the frame is saying. The character says, "Here's your final exam, class. Good luck." Already we can pick up from the tone that the speaker is the teacher. And as she reaches to grab the paper, Her eyes are wide open, which could indicate fear in this sense or anxiety because we are about to write an exam. Then the teacher continues, actually, you'll probably need super duper luck. Now, already we have seen in frame 1 how the scale is already anxious. So the teacher, by saying they need super duper luck, is now giving an extra push to a more anxious level of the emotions. And this scale says, what's all of this stuff from chapter 100? Already the fact that she is using chapter 100 may indicate the fact that she has never come across that which she sees on her question paper. And now, I wanted to look at the change in body position, facial expressions, in order to determine how she feels. Question 1. There's a mathematical formula. We can already tell by her jagged mouth. Okay, we've got 14 minutes. We should be done by then. The jagged mouth and the wide open eyes are giving us the fact that this child is quite afraid or surprised when she looks at this that is appearing on the exam paper. She is absolutely not happy about that because these are scientific or mathematical problems which might be beyond her understanding because they might come from chapter 100. In the fourth frame, she continues to show the fact that she is disturbed by what she sees. Her mouth is also changed. In the fifth frame, she sees question number 3. She now begins to slouch. She changes the position and how she is seated. In the fourth frame, she further plummets. She goes down even further. And as she's going through all of these stages, the teacher interjects and says, people, I'm sorry, I've handed out the wrong test. If you could just pass those back to me. Then she says, phew, which is a sign of relief. We can tell by how her mouth is open that finally she gets to breathe. And then the teacher comes back and says, here's the exam you should have gotten. When she looks at the exam that the teacher claims she should or they should have gotten, the teacher says that other one was for the remedial class. Now, it means it was something to be done after this exam to correct that which you are not going to do well in. And look at how her eyes are literally popping out because she discovers that the first test was actually the remedial test. That's how she expresses herself like that, which is quite ironic. That later on, her relief turns into horror. She was relieved in the 7th frame, but in the 9th frame, the irony here is that her relief turned into an irony, which creates the humor here. Now, the only thing worse than dreaming about your math final is waking with the realization that you still have to take it. and then somebody comes to say, I polished your calculator. And now this gives us an anticlimax type of a response, a bathos, as we spoke about the other day. We expect an ending that is mathematically related, but somebody else comes and speak about polishing calculators. And that's where the second type of humor comes in here, the anticlimax or the bathos. So now, this is your foxtrot explained. And I'm going to need you to write me the answers, and they should be forwarded to me tomorrow before 8 p.m. Guys, please make sure that every activity I give you do, because I've been giving a number of activities, and I think I have only 2 people who have been submitting. Can you please do your part in order for you to be assisted and in order for you to do well? Now, ladies and gents, this brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for coming in. A big thank you to the Department of Education for producing such wonderful questions from previous papers that we have used. And a big shout out to Kosam for ensuring that we are recording these sessions. And finally, thank you for coming through. And I hope you have learned a thing or two. Again, the questions are right in front of you, and I'm going to need you to send me the answers only for question number 4. Before we end our session, is there any question? Remember, we only have a few minutes remaining. Any question from you guys? Yes? No? Going once? Going twice? All right, I do not see any question, which means we are okay. Yeah, we can leave it right there. Thank you once more. Till we meet again. Remember, we are meeting on Sunday, and I will communicate with you. In the next 2 weeks, I'm going to start meeting you individually with regards to your poetry selections. Remember, some of our poems are not the same. So we will have to meet individually to deal with individual poems, so that we are able to cover every single one of you. Except for grade 12s, because you all have the same poems, we can meet as a group in order to go through those poems, especially the new poems for the new grade 12s. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We will meet this coming Sunday. I'll confirm the time in our group. Thank you, Kosam and everyone else.